The Philippines is the world's fourth most vulnerable country to natural disasters. On average, 20 typhoons hit the Philippines each year. Almost 3 out of every 4 people in the Philippines are exposed to natural disaster risks, including typhoons, tropical storms, floods, and earthquakes. In December 2021, Super Typhoon Rai, the most destructive in 8 years, severely affected 16 million people and required $169 million to respond to the most urgent humanitarian needs. The French government quickly mobilized €2 million in humanitarian aid. Emergency aid is important, but disasters like Super Typhoon Rai remind us it's also important to prepare for future disasters and build resilience for lives and livelihoods. The Philippine government has, for more than a decade, pursued policy reforms that equip and empower local government units to manage disaster risk. The new policies often mean new budgetary requirements, as over the last decade, the budget for disaster risk management policies has doubled. This is where AFD steps in. AFD can provide policy-based loans, PBLs, linked to policy reform implementation. Funding is mobilized based on prior actions and as the recipient government successfully adopts and implements an agreed reform package. Alongside loans, AFD also funds capacity development, peer exchange, and technical assistance to help governments successfully implement reforms. Through PBLs, technical assistance, and dialogue with ministries, AFD is able to contribute, alongside other development finance institutions, to more sustainable public policies. And AFD is also able to lay the foundation for future investment projects, such as investments in green infrastructure, supporting new policy implementation. AFD has used PBLs in the Philippines to evolve how authorities manage disaster risk. The Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Act of 2010 decentralized responsibility for managing disaster risk to local authorities. Besides the official budget, more funding is needed to successfully implement this policy reform, whose costs can be substantial. That's why in 2009, AFD began supporting the Philippines government to strengthen the financial capabilities of local authorities. AFD's support included 3 PBLs worth €360 million, co-financed with the Asian Development Bank. It also included €4.8 million in technical assistance financed by the European Union and implemented by the Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG, to implement disaster preparedness audits at the local level. Under this technical assistance, DILG has trained 55 local government authorities and 30 Department of the Interior and local government bureaus. Based on the adoption of a local resilience preparedness framework that builds on previous AFD work, as well as the full devolution of certain functions to local governments, the government has requested a 4th policy-based loan. This new loan program and accompanying technical assistance aims to support DILG in achieving an ambitious reform program which will benefit 10 million citizens. It will strengthen the local government's capacity for risk-informed planning through the GeoRisk Philippines initiative and ensure the disaster preparedness audit mechanism is implemented at a wider scale. And it will also integrate capacity development for improved utilization of disaster risk reduction and management (DRRM) funds, and for gender-sensitive and socially inclusive approaches in local disaster response. Get to know more about policy-based loans and the other ways that AFD is helping the Philippines reduce and manage disaster risk by visiting philippines.afd.fr.